We're here at Chronicles of Faith podcast, and we've got a double shot oat flat white made by the one and only. We're going to try it out. Bismillah.
And I've never made the oat milk coffee in my life.
You know what? I'd hire you at my cafe.
Nah.
I'm proud of you.
Nah, you need to be brutal.
So it tastes like a Toby's bean. I feel like I got a hint of that. But it's strong.
Did you know that it's Toby's beans?
But do you know what? It's not too hot, which is what I like. Did you froth it yourself?
Yes.
Yes. One of the biggest mistakes that baristas actually do is they burn the milk, which then burns the coffee.
Yeah.
So the milk temperature is very nice.
The way you're talking about the coffee makes me want to go make another coffee for myself. And you know,
I love mine.
No, I don't drink oat milk. But to commemorate this, I think we deserve fireworks. What do you think?
Fireworks? Why not?
Yeah. All right, done.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, fireworks. Let's do it. And there we go. That's a fire.
Everything.
Fire. And that's paparazzi.
There you go.
And this is what fireworks looks like.
I think you're going to be booked out for New Year's Eve. Mind you, I've worked at like probably 30 different cafes and I've been fired from all of them.
Hold on to your seats. I've got the mastermind behind Sydney's hottest brunch spots. Sydney Brunch Crawlers, the man himself.
Thank you. I'm honoured to be here.
It is an absolute pleasure. You know, my taste buds have been exhilarating, if that makes sense, if that's even a word. The moment we decided to tee up this pod, you've just reviewed my coffee. Oat milk?
Oh no. That's why I didn't want to have to tell you that it was oat milk. I like to be discreet with the whole oat milk.
Should I edit that out? Or?
Yeah, please.
All right. You've just reviewed my coffee. Yeah. Give me...
Do you know what? I'm impressed. You done really well, because a lot of people, when they initiate to make a coffee, they tend to burn the milk and it's not frothed properly, and it was a flat white. So it was very flat. It wasn't too foamy like a cappuccino. So we'll give you the green tick to...
An out of 10. I want brutal feedback. So right now, I've hired you, or I've collaborated with you at my little pop-up Chronicles of Faith barista shop. You've come. What do you think?
We're going to give it a pass. We'll give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. What do you think, the man behind the scenes? Oh, he's got the thumbs
He
up.
got the thumbs up.
I'll
I'll be sipping it. It took my headache awake. So
beautiful. We're glad that we relieved you of your headache. And I'm fortunate enough that I have a couple of boys, or a few boys, who assist sporadically with their schedule. And then when one of the men behind the scenes knew that you were coming, he showed up to the first pod just to be with your acquaintance.
The way that my heart lit up and I was just warmed, and I could feel a different presence as I was driving into the street, and then I realized something special had to be.
Something special has arrived, and we've had the pleasure to be acquainted, and I should say reacquainted with your presence.
Correct.
Because I bumped into you randomly when I don't know if you're doing food blogging or not at a particular restaurant. I won't mention the name.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And we had your friend there. We won't mention his name for clout. The way you were so articulate, you are so articulate, mashallah, in describing food. There's many bloggers out there, yeah? But what I feel like separates you from the pack is that you're so detailed, mashallah, when analysing and describing tastes and food.
Jazakallah khair. I appreciate it. And I think that's I appreciate it, because that's what I think separates me from the rest of the crowd, because everyone just thinks, influencers are all the same. But the difference that I would say is that I actually come from a hospitality background with over 7 years working in cafes since I was 15 years old. I've been behind the scenes, over the counter. So now it's different. Now I'm in front of the camera and in front of the counter. So it's in a different scenario, but I really appreciate it a bit differently, if that makes sense.
No, the feedback is quite spot on. I believe it's from the heart. And you hook me when you send out these teasers about, I know we all know what a hook is, but when you don't reveal the full location, and it makes I get emotionally attached to what you are putting out there. And then before we go into what you do, what did you say about your past in terms of career? How many cafes have you worked at? I've
been at people have known me I'm known as the cafe person that goes and hops to different cafes. We won't say what the name is. Yeah, I'm a hopper. I've been probably at maybe up to 20 plus different cafes that I've been at.
That you've been at or worked at?
I've worked at.
As an employer?
As an employee.
Sorry.
As an employee, correct.
So you have worked initially at over 20 different locations.
We don't want to name them.
No, don't name them. Wow.
But yeah, I have. I've been, like, since my first job was actually at Rashay's, which was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
My cousin works at the headquarters there, Rashay's.
There you go.
The Bearded Sam.
Oh, the Bearded Sam, he's the man.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah, he started in I forgot which area. When he was about 17, he had his own cafe.
Wow.
But this is not a plug for Sam. We're hoping that he's watching the pod. So you go from being at 20 over 20 different locations. What happens next?
That's what I mean. Like, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I've been at 20 different cafes. I've learned. I basically, like, picked up the best bits of each cafe, and I was like, I'm gonna do my own.
Wow.
So it got to a point I was like 21. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do my own shop. I had my own little shop, got a taste of it, and then I realized it limited me a little bit because there's a bit more that I can do.
I didn't like you could challenge yourself more.
100%. And I felt like I reached the potential in a non-arrogant way of what I could do within
you reached
the
your
hospitality
capacity.
industry. Correct. I reached my capacity within the hospitality industry. And it's like you always need to strive. And my brothers and my parents always taught me to never limit yourself. Put yourself outside of the box. Never be comfortable with what you're doing. Because when you're too comfortable, you get lazy. You want to always challenge yourself, put yourself to the test, and just do something new.
So you felt with everything that your family has instilled into you that it was time to test yourself, challenge yourself, take yourself out of the comfort zone, and that's what allowed you to propel to that next level.
Correct.
Which was
then into marketing and into doing videos. It's interesting because I do have I'm studying a background of marketing. So I have that side as well when you're talking about the hooks. So uni does come into hand.
Yeah.
With all the debt that it's causing, but
that's a good point. I'm still suffering.
At least it's working. Yeah, I know.
And it's working.
It's working.
Yeah, so you have an educational background as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I have an educational background as well, and look, I've got to give thanks to my brothers because they started the Instagram page 5 years ago, and they've always been my role models. They've led and they've been in the picture and they've showed me the way. But then it gets to a point where it's like you need to hold the baton for yourself and you need to finish that race.
So they paved the way.
Correct.
And the torch was handed to you.
Yes.
To take over. Did you struggle initially when you took over?
100%. I feel like you struggle. I struggled personally with self-doubt in what they've had and what they created. Yeah. It's like, how can you uplift it? If I give you $100 million tomorrow, you can either go broke or you can make it 200 million. If that makes sense. So it's like, what can you do with it and how can you excel? So my brother was like, put your Gen Z twist on it and do your thing and see how it goes. I brainstormed, I was a bit nervous, and I just thought, you just got to be yourself. And then you see what comes from it.
I feel like when you're yourself and you're raw and you're not playing a character, that's the most success you'll have eventually, because you're not faking it. You're not acting or portraying to be someone that you're not.
100%.
Now, before we go deeper into this podcast, who is the man in your profile photo?
The $1 million question. I get DMs. I get asked, who is this man on the DP? He's the original brunch crawler.
Okay.
He's my role model. He's my best friend. He's my older brother.
Oh.
His name's Rabi. Shout out to Rabi. And yeah, he started the page. He's actually got 2 shops, 2 cafes of his own. And mashallah, he's killing it. He started... I feel like he was one of the first food bloggers back in the days to do some social media marketing. He did his thing, got his name out there. He's like a coffee guru, loves his cold brews. And then, he passed the baton to me.
And is there another brother that used to help him?
Yeah, there's 5 of us in total. And, Allahumma barik. And then there was 3 of them that used to do it. Him and my brother Billy were in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then my brother Muhammad was behind the scenes.
I think your brother Billy had an Oztag background, right?
Yeah, correct.
And he once had an Oztag Cup.
He played many sports.
Did he have a tournament though that he held?
That he held?
Yeah.
I'm sure he must have.
You would have been a teenager.
Yeah. Oh, I would have been like a toddler.
And I reached the semi-finals and we got knocked out.
No.
Yeah,
my brother beat you?
I think so. But he won't remember that. But I do, because it still hurts till now.
It's a win-win.
So you go from the torch being passed to you, and you're covering all the New South Wales, perhaps, initially.
Yeah.
How does it feel when you go to... I want to start with the negatives. You go to a cafe or restaurant. They've collaborated with you. but the food's terrible.
See, it's interesting. It's a common question I get, and we pride ourselves off of honesty and integrity. And I wouldn't send you or recommend you to go to somewhere that I didn't feel like it hit the mark. So if there has been places where, and I'll give everyone a chance. So I'll go out, I'll try it, and then there has been times where I've had to. I'll be like, please don't pay me or take your money back, and I don't want to promote something that I'm not fulfilled with, if that makes sense.
So you actually go out there and give them a refund.
Correct.
And isn't it hard having that conversation?
Yeah, of course. How I do it, because I've been in the hospitality industry, I give constructive criticism and feedback. There are times where I'll be like, take your money. I'm just going to focus on the dishes that I liked.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's
so there's been times
one.
I'll bring out 8 dishes. I'm going to focus and highlight 3. So if you come here, try these 3 dishes exactly. So listen to what I'm saying on the in the videos.
You're very explicit.
Yeah, correct. Only so then you get a good experience, and then your time's not wasted, because how many times has there been trends on Instagram, TikTok, social media, and then it doesn't live up to its expectation. It's the biggest disappointment. I feel like with social media, what happens as well with cafes and hospitality in particular is you feel underwhelmed when you go to the cafe because it looked much better on Instagram.
Aesthetically on Instagram, it looks amazing.
You have high expectations. You're gonna love it, and then you go and you're like, oh, it's like a small little cafe in a little street. It didn't live up to your expectations. So I like to just have the opposite effect and make you feel underwhelmed, and then you go to the place and you're like, wow, so much better than I thought.
So I feel like you've mastered the art of talking the cafe up or talking the cafe down, and that's why I called you the mastermind behind Sydney's hottest brunch spots. But what about the positives? So is there any notable cafes, without mentioning names, but their cuisine, where you've been there and it's just hit the spot?
100%. And coming from hospitality, it's cleanliness is so important. So I get to see behind the scenes in the kitchen, and there are some cafes and brunch spots that are just, mashallah, they're doing really well with everything. And it's such a shout out to the Muslim community, because they're like the leaders in cafes now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting when my brother started, like maybe 6-7 years ago. It was cafes out in the east, cafes out in the north, but now it's like the community has really come to light, and they're putting our twist on it, and they're doing really well. So there's heaps of standout places that are running the hospitality industry in Sydney.
Well, that's what the Chronicles of Faith is I have a range of guests who come on, but if we were to now focus on the Muslim community and we go deeper into the hospitality industry, that's a massive statement and credit to all those people who are opening up cafes and restaurants and are succeeding, and you're one of the first people to see it.
Yeah, but like, mashallah, I actually want to shout out to one, MLK, they're in Surrey Hills, and she actually has shirts that say like halal on it.
Wow.
Like in front, and so she's like, I'm going to make it known. I'm not going to hide away that.
Surrey Hills?
It's in, I can't remember the name, but yeah, it's halal.
My father, rahimahullah, he had one of the first convenience stores before 7-Eleven.
Surrey Hills?
In Surrey Hills.
Wow.
In the 90s. Before 7-Eleven, before these Easy Mart pop-up stores, before all of them, in Surrey Hills on Cleveland Street.
Wow.
And it was a ghetto back then. It was a rough place.
It was.
My auntie has Fatima's there. If you go there, it's the exact same they've maintained that traditional restaurant from how it was in the 90s till now. Have you seen those restaurants that look like the
old 90s style?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to, what is it?
MLK.
Why does she have halal on her shirts?
She's got halal because she's Afghan, and she started her little, it's called Myra's Little Kitchen.
Mashallah.
It's like a deli, sandwiches, and she just wanted it to be known so the community knows it's halal. If you want to drive out and go to the city and have something to eat, and also to the community in Surrey Hills, for them to know that like you're eating halal meat. So
that's right, yeah.
Which is good.
Okay, and then you've gone from vlogging and blogging and reviewing in Sydney. Then all of a sudden I'm watching your page and you pop up, and I see your famous Insta360, whatever it is, and you say you're in Istanbul.
Correct.
What happened there?
You know, the world's your oyster. I wasn't gonna live and die in Sydney. You know what I mean? So I thought, like, there's so much beauty in the world. Let's go check out what the world has to offer. We went and I got to see Istanbul and a lot of it, and I fell in love with the city.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Isn't it?
It's alive. It's breathtaking. You got your nature. But you also got tradition, which is what I love, and the culture.
Well, I can speak from firsthand. When I seen Istanbul, and you were very choice with the words that you chose, and the restaurants that you were at, Galata Tower, I immediately became emotionally connected, not just to you, but to your journey. But it took me back to me being there.
Wow.
And then you reviewed that cheesecake shop.
Correct.
And it reminded me how I went there with my wife to the Galata Tower, and I missed the cheesecake.
You missed?
I missed it.
That's the most famous cheesecake.
And then we realized after we got to the hotel
No.
that and then when I was watching it, I told her, look, he
was there.
He was there. He got to taste it, and I can't believe we missed it. So
Wow. Wait, it wouldn't have been packed? Wasn't it a busy...
it was at a time where downstairs under the Galata Tower
Renovation?
was so busy.
Oh, wow.
It was so busy, like so busy where you're just looking left and right, and it was after sunset. So everyone, the line for the Galata Tower was to the floor. You know how there's a staircase?
yeah.
It was to the floor. So we said, sack the Galata Tower. We're not going up. And then we ended up missing the cheesecake. But how was that experience in Turkey? Tell me about the Turkish cuisine.
It's amazing because the Turkish cuisine, it's influenced by, there's so many different continents around them. So they're influenced by so many different, like, you got the Black Sea, you've got the border next to Syria, you've got like the Balkan region. So there's so many different flavors. And look, I'm Lebanese, so we're going to be a bit biased to what food we like. But there's the third wave coffee scene is hitting there. So it's amazing. And to see the different flavors that they have there was really nice to check it out.
And I seen that you were mingling with the locals despite the language barriers.
Yeah.
So how was that experience?
Look, it was a tough experience, but all you need to do is you need to try and give a little bit of effort, and then they'll give a little bit of effort back. They just want to see you try, and you're going to their country, you're going to their culture, to their tradition. So nasılsın, iyiyim, teşekkürler abi. So
Wow,
give a little bit, and then you
have the full Turkish accent. Günaydın.
Günaydın.
Yeah, günaydın. Good morning.
Bir çay.
I don't know what that means.
Afiyet olsun.
Usually I have Google Translate and I press the
Yeah,
record.
that works.
That works?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works. That works.
And then if we would look at the map, we have Sydney, you've flown all the way to Turkey. And then where to next after that? How was your journey
Where
around the
to
world?
next? I was based in Turkey for 3 months. So then I went to London for a little bit. Checked that out. It was mini Australia. Had to get out.
How long did you last?
3 days.
So you went from 3 months in the country.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Istanbul, Antalya.
Yes.
Then
Bursa as well.
Bursa.
Bursa's amazing.
Did you go to Bursa? Is amazing. Did you go to starts with an M? Mersin.
Mersin?
Yeah, Mersin. I
Where's
think
that?
that's what it is. I hope I'm not getting that wrong.
We're not butchering it.
We're not butchering it. It's a famous like a waterfront.
Oh wow!
city.
No, I didn't get to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm adding
I
that to
know
the
because
list.
my uncle's retiring. He lives in Belgium,
Wow.
and he decided to retire. I'll get the name, make sure it's right.
Yeah.
So you went Turkey 3 months, Istanbul, Antalya, then Bursa.
Correct. Yeah. So all within Turkey. I was actually working in Turkey. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Not like a little hidden secret, even though it's not a hidden secret anymore.
Is it a spoiler? Can we do a spoiler?
Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah.
I actually was working for, it's like the Al Jazeera of Turkey, the ABC News. So it's called TRT World.
Yes, I know TRT World.
Yes. So shout out to TRT World. We done some videos for them. We actually got an internship, and like that was me progressing because
Inshallah.
I was like, alhamdulillah, I was in Sydney and everyone was like, oh, you're at your peak, keep going. An opportunity came for me to do an internship at an international job. I'm like, I'm at my peak. Like, what do? Allah's testing me here. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be uncomfortable. I left and I had an experience that you couldn't pay for.
Look, when you spoke about spoiler, I did not think that you were going to chuck a mic drop, because this podcast is all about mic drops.
There you go.
From blogging in Turkey to an internship, what did you do, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was basically, they wanted presenters for social media to present the news, and alhamdulillah, I was like blessed and honored to be given an opportunity to intern there, and alhamdulillah, they've given me a job. So I was honored that I could go from food blogging, but then to make it professional as well. Suit and tie.
Oh, Hamze with the
Little
suit
news
and tie.
reporter.
Yeah.
Reporting for TRT World.
And food? Or?
No, not just food.
Not just food.
On all news, we covered the Paris Olympics. We're covering the US elections.
Did you go to Paris?
They were gonna. I ended up going to Paris.
Yeah.
They didn't send me to Paris, but I ended up going that weekend. That's the beauty of traveling overseas. I was working, And then it was a Friday afternoon. You pray Jummah, they let you leave early.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
I booked flights Friday night, and I came back and I went to Paris for 3 days. And Monday morning, I'm at like the morning meeting. Like, I just landed at 5 a.m. and then I'm just at the desk for like a Monday morning meeting. Because you can just, it's a 3-hour flight. It's like 200 Australian return. It's just easier. It's like the world is closer to you.
That's what my uncle told me. He said, I don't know how far Belgium is from Turkey, but it's just like traveling to Brisbane and Perth. And
yeah, it's just, you don't even think about it. And for us to travel, you plan 3 months ahead. And then you want to spend as much time overseas as you can because it's a 14-hour flight. But when you're there traveling for 3 to 5 days, that's enough.
And we see this consistency in your spiral upwards or your trajectory, mashallah, in your career, that you've gone and had this internship and you've covered the Olympic Games. What was your experience in food and blogging? Did that help? Did your experience in that niche help with your internship?
100%, because they saw how confident and spontaneous I was on camera, and they wanted someone who could be articulate and to just present in a Gen Z style. So that really did help. They saw my Instagram and they really liked that. And yeah, it gave me the opportunity to then go to Paris. I love croissants, love coffee. It was amazing to have croissants in Paris. I think I just ate croissants all day.
Before we touch on croissants in Paris, I'm sure you get asked this so many times. MashaAllah, how do you manage your weight and your health with all the food that you eat?
I think this is the most asked question that I do get. Look, no one sees the 1.5 hours that I do training in the morning. but behind the camera, there's a bunch of boys who are just waiting to demolish the plate. Yes, that's the secret that no one knows.
Okay, so it's not all you feasting.
No, I'll have a bite here and there, 1 or 2. Look, I'm done. I'm a slow eater, and I just eat like 1 or 2 bites, and alhamdulillah, I'm good. But the boys come and they enjoy a nice feed.
But you feel like that 1.5 in the morning is what propels you and starts your day.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like being a barista, I was always an early bird. So it's like get up, fajr, train. Like get that out of the way. You feel better. You feel motivated. Go get a coffee and start your day.
Yeah, look, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the hadith, which means that there's a blessing for those who wake up in his ummah at the early risers at a specific time in the morning, which is just before fajr. That time is a blessed time. And then to pray fajr and start your day, what an amazing feeling.
Subhanallah, yeah.
Yeah. Ever since I changed my routine to that morning routine, and I have a motto on the Chronicles of Faith is rise before the sun.
There you go.
My efficiency has changed dramatically.
And so you feel that with your body as well.
Absolutely.
How much energy you have, your mind as well.
Yeah. So Mr. Early Bird and Mr. Worldwide, we're in Paris, we're eating croissants, and it's a hub for croissants.
Literally.
How was that experience?
The best experience. I remember walking through Paris being surreal, like I'm actually in Paris. Like I'm trying croissants that I'm like, it's tradition, like it was made there. So it was an experience that I'm grateful for, and I loved it. The people were so nice. I remember I'm a solo traveler. I was just traveling by myself. And I was just in a random cafe and I was speaking to a local. He's like, I'm taking you to the best croissant. We walked for like 15 minutes, and he took me to these best croissant spots from a local. So it was just a cool experience.
How would you compare the cafe and hospitality industry with croissants
from Sydney to Paris? It's a lot more buttery and it's a lot more flaky. In Sydney, it's a bit more bready, if that makes sense.
Yum.
Yeah, so it was so good. It was just light, fluffy, and buttery.
MashaAllah. Do you open the dictionary and look at adjectives?
I stand in the mirror every day and I practice that.
Because I just feel like right now having an amazing buttery croissant.
It's just it was light. You tap it and then it like fluffs back up. So it was just cool to. Once you go there and you have a croissant, you can't come back here and have a croissant again.
Wow,
it's just not the same.
So it's true.
It's true.
It's the capital of croissants around the world.
Yeah, 100%. It's where it began, and you definitely need to go check it out.
So on your journey, because I'm so fascinated by your journey, mashallah, we go from Paris now. We go back onto the map.
Oh, we're on the world map.
We're on the world map, and then the pin's here in Paris. Where do we go to next?
After that, we actually go to Saudi Arabia. We go to Riyadh because one of my brothers is living in Riyadh.
And did he take a punt as well, which looks like it's a theme in your family, mashallah?
Yeah, mashallah.
So
he's
take
a
that
role
risk
model.
in living there and setting up a startup there?
Definitely. He started off in Turkey, came back to Australia, and now he's in the hub of Saudi Arabia because it's developing and it's the next big thing, inshallah. So he's there with his family, and he's just an inspiration. He's a motivation as well. And went to go visit him for Eid al-Adha.
MashaAllah. Were you able to commemorate Eid al-Adha there?
Yeah, with my parents who actually completed Hajj as well. So
Alhamdulillah.
yeah,
Hajj?
yeah, they completed Hajj.
Hajj Hamze?
No, my parents.
Oh, your
inshallah
parents
one day.
Inshallah one day.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. I ask Allah to give us the blessing for both of us
Ameen.
and the man behind the scenes to complete Hajj together.
Inshallah.
And you never know with the man behind the scenes.
You never know.
But with Riyadh, maybe one day we can do a pop-up pod and interview
Definitely,
him.
the scene there, and I think out of everywhere I went, people were most surprised about Saudi Arabia and the places that I was showing. I feel like the West has this mentality that they're so backwards and so behind, but everything there was just beautiful, from the aesthetic of the shop, but to the quality of service, the quality of food, the quality of coffee. Like, if you think about it, in Muslim countries, what do they love? Here, they love alcohol, they love drugs, but we love our specialty coffee. So over there, you can walk into any shop and it was a beautiful coffee and aesthetically pleasing, great customer service. And people were shocked about that. They're like, I want to go check out Riyadh now in Saudi Arabia. I said, definitely, it's the next hub of the world.
Was there any particular restaurants or cuisines that stood out in?
Definitely. Sharif is one of them.
Sharif.
What
Sharif.
a name.
Yeah.
Amazing. But especially in Riyadh, you got Arabica. There's another one called Atmosphere. Amazing cafe. Just so many, and you see the quality of food and service there, so you get both.
What goes into your preparation in terms of from the start till the end? How much work goes into covering a restaurant overseas? So forget Australia. We're talking about now you're in Riyadh and you're blogging for a restaurant or vlogging for a restaurant. What's it like when you're preparing for such a...
It's interesting. It was a lot different than here because you know people from either face value or mutuals, and you know them. So this was a bit different. I got in contact with the owners, had a meeting with them, and then they invited us down to the cafe. And then basically I just implemented what I did in Sydney there, which they enjoyed, the being like charismatic. And I went behind the counter and I baked cookies in some places, made coffees, maybe crossed the line a little bit too much, but you just have fun with it. And then they see how real you are. I'm not going to walk into your shop, sit in the corner, click my fingers and expect everything to come to me because I'm quote unquote an influencer. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in, I'm going to speak to the baristas, I'm going to ask them how their day is because I used to be behind the counter, so I know how it feels. And then the best thing is you have so many connections. I can go to Saudi Arabia, I can go to Paris, I can go to London, and I can tell you where to go, but I can tell you the owners as well.
Well, I'd love to travel with you one day because not only do you describe food in such an amazing way, the way you're talking about traveling makes me want to pay and book a flight right now.
I would go.
We'll go together, we'll do pop-up pods. Now, Hamze, I know we've spoken about all the exciting stuff, your journey, part of your journey. Mm-hmm. There's so much more to you, but surely you've reach some low points in your life. And without going into much detail, if I should say, how did you rebound? Because mashallah, you seem like an optimistic person and you have a positive outlook on life despite all the hardship that we face, because we are all inflicted with hardship. But what comes to mind when you're talking about the low moments, and how did you rebound and push forward, whether it's your career, whether it's career choices or decisions or experiences?
Interesting question. I really like it because I feel like I grew up with a very optimistic mindset with no matter what came my way.
Mashallah.
And yeah, you see me in front of the camera, I'm smiling and I'm talking and I'm charismatic, but we all have our low moments and we all have moments where like we don't know what to do, we don't know which way to go. I've been fired from nearly all of my jobs. I remember this one moment in particular. It was the last cafe that I worked at, and I was so attached to it because you become friends with your customers, and it was a hard moment. But the owner just looked at me in the eyes and he was like to me, you need to let this go and you just need to start like social media. He basically pushed me out, but in like a tough love way. But he just pushed me and said, go do social media. Don't worry about this cafe. And it really hurt me because I really wanted to stay. But there's like in any moment or any situation, I just think no matter what it is, I look at three things. Like, what did you learn? What did you gain? And what did you lose from it? So I gained experience. What did I learn from it? That's the biggest thing. I never look at a situation, no matter how bad it went, and be negative about it or be pessimistic. There's always something that you learn from it. There's always something that you'll know for next time. There's about any experience. So with how I carry myself, it's always with optimism, and it's always with, okay, what was I meant to learn from this? How was I meant to gain something from this? Because it's always about learning and moving forward and not letting something hurt you and push you back down.
So in a nutshell, without dwelling on the past and weighing yourself down and burdening yourself from a particular experience that was not so good, you reflect and say, what did I learn from this experience?
Correct.
And how can I move forward? Because no matter how tough life gets, we need to move
Forward.
MashaAllah, your positivity is so infectious. Allah yubarak feek. I'm in awe, and I can just feel the vibe in the room already. It's so intense in a positive way.
I can be here talking to you for like hours.
We can have a pod that goes on for 3-4 hours. I had Mahmoud on one of the pods, Ismail, and I had to cut the pod.
Really?
Yeah, because I pride myself on, for now, in season 1, having a 40 to 45 minute pod. But it's just one of those things where you connect with somebody, and they want to come back on and you want to interview them again. And I'm sure with you, mashallah, there's so much to talk about. The feedback that you've just given of how to rebound from a low moment is so imperative to our viewers. But is there one particular advice, or is there any advice that you've received in your life that was so instrumental in your career, even though, mashallah, you have a career so far ahead of you, but in your young career?
Well, just to pick one is interesting. I think one thing is what my brothers have told me, and it's to just try and give it a go. It's like, just whatever you want to do, give it a go and give it your 100%. And in this day and age with social media, you can do anything. Take a photo of this plant and just post it. Keep posting consistently. I don't know, but you can do anything in this day and age. Like, there's nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it. So, and everyone just looks at the end result, but there's so much hard work that goes into
Well
it.
said.
There's so much hard work, but you just need to be able to back yourself. And I think that's what I tell myself. I'm my biggest cheerleader. I'm my biggest fan. I'm going to like my photo. I'm going to comment on my video before anyone else does, because I have to be happy before anyone else is happy.
This podcast is all about mic drop moments, and this deserves another invisible mic drop. I just got goosebumps because one thing that I try to do is self-talk, and positive self-talk. Doesn't mean I'm crazy, but I like to back myself, and I may not achieve what I wanted initially, but backing yourself and that positive self-talk is what gets you pushing forward in your creative journey or in something that you set your mind to. How important is it?
It's so important, because that's what a lot of people struggle with, and it's just lack of confidence and self-esteem. And you want to seek validation from someone else.
Yes.
Seek validation from yourself. Even if you have to look in the mirror and just tell yourself, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be the best of this. Like, you need to be able to believe it for yourself, and then you can be able to actually project that into the world. But it's just about backing yourself up, believing in yourself. Even in moments where you don't, just lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're going to do it. And then that's the only way.
On that point, I wouldn't say lie to myself. What I would say, you're right though. I know the meaning that you're saying is, even though you can't achieve it now, convince yourself that you can achieve it.
You're like the P to the pod.
Yeah, the P to the pod.
Finishing my sentence.
Oh, mate. And not only do I want to go eat with you and travel with you, I want to do another pod with you, because this has been mic drop after mic drop. And you know what I like about my podcasts and the guests that have been coming on, and I'm not blowing my own horn, but that self-belief that the viewers get, that inspiration that the viewers get, and the next generation coming up is to believe in themselves. I feel like we're heading towards, and not all of society, but the next generation, it's the most weakest generation that we may have. And we don't want to go into reasons as to why. But when we have guests like you who come on and inspire them to work hard and set goals and push themselves and back themselves, that's what we want to hear. And do you feel like that's what got you to where you are right now in your career?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's with social media and you see a lot of things and everything is fake and everything is perfect. I think keeping it real and being who you are and being yourself, like that's why I'll post videos where I don't feel like I look the best, but I'll just post it. If I make a mistake, I'll still post it because that's just how it is. You have to be real. One, it sets you apart, and two, it just makes you connect with people better. But also, it then brings myself more self-confidence.
That's right.
When you can be able to be yourself, and then people will accept you because they'll like you for who you are.
Well, I'm sure you've experienced cafes who have gone through a rough trot. Is there any notable stories of those or a particular restaurant that was suffering initially for whatever reason, and then you supported them and you backed them, and then you've seen their trajectory change to them now thriving, or vice versa?
Yeah, with social, that's the most rewarding thing about this job, I think, is that you can come in and literally change a business and change someone's livelihood. Like I was talking to a business owner and he said, like I had this car and I was giving it to my kids, but he had to sell it just to put it into the shop. And I'm like, we're gonna get that car back for you, so then it's for your kids. Allah. You know what I mean? And it's through social media, it's through hard work as well. But it's just rewarding at the end of the day to be able to help people who it's their dreams. So I see it as me just being a part of their dream and being able to help their business venture.
You're helping them facilitate their dreams and pushing them in their journey. I remember with Beans once when you had a cafe, and it was a while ago, but I just drove past and I seen your face, and the smile, mashallah, that you had, I felt like a coffee. I didn't necessarily want to buy a coffee, but that customer service, as soon as I parked the car, you greeted me as if I was a superstar. And it made me want to buy the coffee and taste it. And you spoke all about the bean with passion. And with my question comes passion. How do you find passion influences you?
Do you know what's interesting about that? If I can touch on the whole customer service thing, I actually trained myself to say every single customer that comes up to me, I'm gonna greet them as if they're my best friend. Oh. How would you greet your best friend if you just saw your best friend?
That's true.
Oh, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Come get a, like that's exactly how I trained myself, and it's nice that it worked and you rubbed off.
No, it did rub off because I bought the coffee and
there you go.
And when we teed up the pod, I asked you, is that bean still there? And you can shout out the bean.
Yeah, Reformatory Lab. Yeah, that's best bean in Sydney.
Oh, look at that advertisement. No plug there, no sponsorship.
No sponsorship.
I was expecting you to come with a reformative bag.
Yeah, no, I should have. Sorry,
no, I'm joking. I need to gift you for coming on the podcast. But
like what you said about with passion as well, I think with what you do, passion just comes with it, and then you put more effort into it. Like I fell in love with hospitality, and then it just resembled into the influencing. But with hospitality itself, it was a bit tricky because you're kind of one face the whole day, if that makes sense. Like if you've got a corporate job and you don't want to talk to anyone, put your headphones in, walk down, go get a coffee, go sit in a quiet room. But in hospitality, no matter what you're facing, you have to be one face the whole time. You got to be smiling and you got to have good customer service.
Does it drain you?
It does. Socially, it drains you. I remember like for 7 years doing this, I'd go home and not talk because think about it. You're reiterating the same conversation over and over again. The same conversation I had with you that day, I probably had with 30 other customers.
Wow.
But you need to be able to just keep that energy there. You need to be able to basically bring people back. So it's...
And you find focusing on your health and your well-being and physically strengthening yourself helps you through that?
Correct. Not only just mentally, but physically as well.
Look, Hamze, most of my guests that I've been getting on the podcast, we reach a point of the podcast where I ask them to leave one moment that inspired them in their life.
Wow.
Is there anything that comes to mind? And there may be many. And that can help the audience or the viewers and they can relate to that feedback or that moment.
To one moment that inspired me the most. That's an interesting question. I don't know why the first thing that comes to my head was actually like it's a bit emotional, but it was my grandfather, Allah yarhamu. It was when he passed away, and just the connection that I had with him. and how he always believed in me and he always backed me up, and he always told me keep studying and keep hustling and like be a businessman. So I always have that in the back of my mind, and that like just that moment, that interaction, really it's solidified in my heart. So I always carry that with me, and I know that it's not just my name that I'm uplifting, but it's my family name. It's the Tahas, and that's who I'm doing it for.
So you're Hamze Taha.
Yeah, correct.
And your grandfather was a Taha?
Yeah, correct.
MashaAllah. And his self-belief in you growing up still resonates to you
Still
till
today. Still to today.
Well, Hamze, it was an absolute pleasure to be reacquainted with your presence on the Chronicles of Faith.
Thank you for having me.
And I would love to get you on to talk about further into your journey and your career trajectory.
100%. I'll definitely be back. And I want to make you a coffee next time.
Ready?
I'm going to make... What do you drink?
I drink a double shot macchiato or a piccolo.
Nice. Okay, good coffee. No sugar. Sugar's...
I just recently
no
transitioned off sugar.
How'd you get off?
Cold turkey.
Really?
Yeah, I embarked on a health journey with the Chronicles of Faith. I wanted to get fit again and get strong again. And the morning routine. And I said, I have to... The only way... I used to have one sugar. But all coffee enthusiasts say, no sugar.
Okay, I know that you're going to cut the podcast short, but quickly, little secret.
Yeah, as long as you want.
Little secret that I used to do being in hospitality. Yeah. Let's say you came and asked me like a coffee with a sugar, and you've been talking to me about getting off sugar. I want to put the sugar in, but psychologically, I tell you there's sugar, so you think it's in there. And I used to get a lot of people off sugar. Put even a quarter in, 3/4 in, and I just tell them, yeah, there's 2 sugars in there. There was probably like half a teaspoon.
You'd wean them off though.
Yeah, wean them off.
And you're helping them with the health journey.
Yeah, and it's all just psychological.
Well, again, mind over matter.
There you go, mind over matter.
And with mind over matter, you've joined the Chronicles of Faith. I'm drinking coffee with no sugar. You've given me 7 out of 10. What next?
The world. Let's go travel the world.
Let's go travel the world.
It was an honor. Thank you for having me.
Barakallahu fik. No problem.